1969 Old Bailey trial and has consistently supported them. Devastated by the news of Ronnie Kray's death, Frankie Fraser joins me in the studio, together with another Kray family friend, Marilyn Wiseby. Frankie, first of all, I mean, it's trite to say it, but the news has come as a shock to you, hasn't it?
Well, it has come as a shock, but maybe not as a shock, as the number of drugs they was pumping into him at Broadmoor, sedating him. He had the constitution of a horse. It's a miracle how he survived so long.
When did you last see him in Broadmoor?
Some time ago, but he was okay then. But even then, on the visit, they would come and give him drugs.
Well, what state was he in at that stage? And what was his...
He was okay. He was all right.
Psychologically, was he positive?
No, he was smashing. He was all right like that. But I was alarmed at the number of drugs that they were, you know, feeding him.
Let me take you back to the 60s. I mean, you were a friend of his in the days of what popularly called the Gangland era.
That's right, yes.
How was he in those days?
He was a smashing fella. He really was, honestly. You couldn't have a more generous, kind and loyal pal. He really was a nice guy. Him and his brother Reggie, they used to pick my sister up and bring her to prisons all over England to visit me. And she couldn't speak highly enough of them.
Now, you say he was smashing, but I mean, he did get into quite a lot of bother, as we know.
So did I, we all did.
How is it, do you think, that, I mean, given some of the things that he's been involved and associated with, that he has this kind of popular folkloric image? I mean, he's a sort of, almost a folk hero. What is it that's given him celebrity status? You might expect people to condemn him, put him down. Well,
he never harmed any nice people who listens to your show and watches your show. And people like yourself, Paddy, he wouldn't enter his head. Women and children untouchable. He wouldn't rob someone's home, you know, people doing things like that. Anybody he hurt would be like people like myself who, you know, who cares? We was all gangster sort of style. So, you know, we didn't dream of harming any ordinary people, wouldn't enter our head, and Ronnie especially. He'd done a lot of kindness. He was very generous, and if someone's home got robbed, especially ordinary working people, he would try his best to find out who done it and see their gear was returned, and a bit more on top.
You served yourself, didn't you, a spell in Broadmoor in the 50s?
When I did,
when
yes,
hopefully it was a very different regime from the one we've seen later.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie still got into trouble in Broadmoor, didn't he? He's been, I mean, he attacked Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper, for example.
Well, I'll give him a medal for that.
Yeah.
No one, I'll give him a medal. Well done. Well, Ronnie unfortunately can't hear me, but well done. That was great.
He also had a go at somebody who was in there, I think, for some kind of indecent assault. I mean,
and well done again. Yeah, sure. Sex cases, I had no time for them at all.
Do you think he saw himself as a bit of a Robin Hood character?
No, he was just himself. No, true, he was a Robin Hood character, but he wouldn't have seen himself like that. He would be just being natural. That would be Ronnie. And like a lot of other fellas like him, like ourselves, we'd all be like that.
How do you think Reggie, your knowledge of Reggie, his brother, his twin brother, how's he going to react to this news?
Oh, my heart goes out to Reggie especially. And being a twin, I understand. I have a brother and sister who are twins. And naturally, they're very close. And I can understand how Reggie feels, and my heart goes out to him 1,000,000%.
Let me come to Marilyn for a moment. Marilyn, you knew Charlie, the
Yes.
older brother. Yourself, you're a daughter of Tommy Wiseby, who was one of the great train robbers. So you're very thick with that community, with the community that the Krays were involved with.
That's right, Paddy.
How is the community, that traditional East End community, if you like, the former Gangland community, how are they going to react?
I should imagine everyone would be upset, all the Kray supporters that we've met for the charity to support the Krays to get out of prison, and I think it's about time that they did release Reggie now, after all what's happened to Ronnie. They've served their time, well, many years, haven't they, Frank? They've had their pound of flesh out of them, and I feel so sorry for Ronnie to think that he's not had his sense of freedom. He's died before he's been released.
Can you understand why some people are apprehensive about them, are afraid of them?
I can understand it in one way, because they're made to look like notorious gangsters, but as Frank said, they wouldn't do no harm to the likes of Mr. Joe Public or steal women's handbags and muggings. I think this government has to look at this case and realise that these men are not the notorious killers that are about today. They're decent human beings.
There's obviously going to be a funeral. Do you expect that to be a funeral of enormous proportions? I mean,
I think it should be, because the Krays were good people in my eyes.
so
I really do.
We could see a lot of people turning out, could we?
Yes, and I think you'll find that there's ever such a lot of people that support the release of these, you know, of the poor, you know, poor Reggie now.
Frankie, do you have any sense of where that funeral might take place and what sort of people might be involved in organising it?
Well, first of all, I have to agree with every word Marilyn said. I thought that was excellent. They should be released, especially Reggie now. The funeral obviously should take place in the East End, around their roots, where they were born and that, and you'll get a lot of people attending. Forget the ordinary members of the public, a lot of them will go just because they are so famous. But you'll get a lot of genuine people who grew up with them, who knew them, know the families, and also children who wasn't even born when they were convicted, who's grown up, they'll go, yes.
I mean,
and quite rightly, it should be well attended. He's a lovely person.
we went to a supporters dinner and dance, wasn't it, sort of thing, and I was so surprised. There was about 2,000 people all over the country came to this place in the East End supporting the release of the Krays, and that was just before Christmas, wasn't it, Frank?
It was a wonderful evening.
Where did all those glamour connections come from? Because they were connected with some very glamorous and high-profile people.
Well, we all were, you know. Stanley Baker introduced me
Stephen
to
Burke.
Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor, and various other people. And the Krays had even better than that. They loved a gangster, didn't they? Thank God for that. It was quite pleasant.
But what do you think the affinity was? Did they see gangsters as a kind of real-life version of themselves?
James.
Well, I suppose it may have been helpful for a part sometime or other in their career. And also we was all nice. They didn't have to pay our bills, we paid them. They, you know, we didn't sponge off them. If anything, we paid the bill, and happy to do so, because they were all nice people. And it was quite pleasant. And they loved being with a gangster.
You're happy to be thought of as a sort of a gangster or a former gangster?
Well, that's how they looked at us. I didn't class myself as one, and I have no doubt Ronnie didn't either, but the media did, and if they did, so what? We didn't care. The only thing I was upset about, they used to keep asking all these actors and politicians, they kept asking me for my gold-plated dentist pliers, and I wouldn't let them have them. No.
To what extent do you think, Frankie, this marks, the death today of Ronnie, marks the end of an era?
I have to agree there. In that sense, it does, and it's a very sad occasion. We've lost a good man, a very good man, and you know, it is the end of an era, wonderful era. You know, in relation to what goes on today and that, and I hope the public will look at it like that as well.
You're going to be trying to make contact, aren't you? You're
Yes,
very
I will
anxious to
be.
get into touch with
Yes,
Reggie.
I will do, of course.
What are you going to say when you talk to Reggie?
I can only say to him that on behalf of Marilyn,
Eva.
and both my sister Eva especially, and all our families, both Marilyn's and mine, we send our heartfelt regards and our wonderful respects to Reggie, Charlie and all his family.
Well, Frankie, Marilyn, thank you for coming in and talking
Thanks
to us.
very much, Patty.